Hello and welcome to Behind the Story. I'm your host, Eli Sherman, joined as per usual by my co-host, Kim Kalunian of 12 News. And Kim, we have a very exciting episode today because it's getting cold out.
It is, and this is the time of year when all of us complain about our heating bills. And I mean, I'm on that bandwagon too. It's hard sometimes to be like, well, I want to be toasty, but I also want to have money.
Right.
So.
And I feel like electricity and energy stuff is like something that everybody cares about because
Yes.
it literally affects everyone who's got a place that heats or charges their phone.
Exactly, we all use it.
Yeah, and to have this conversation with us today, we are bringing on the one and only Alex Kuffner of the Providence Journal. Alex, welcome to the show.
Great, thanks for having me.
So for those of you who do not know Alex, he is sort of like the guru on all things energy and environment in the state when it comes to reporting. If you don't read his stuff, you absolutely need to because his expertise exceeds, he would go head to head with any reporter that covers this issue in the state. So Alex, thinking of heating bills, I think it might be helpful because, a few weeks ago we sort of heard as customers of Rhode Island Energy that we were going to be getting these breaks, tax credits or energy breaks on our bills. And then Rhode Island Energy sort of walked away and said, actually, no, we're not going to do that. So can you, just to set the stage, explain what exactly happened there and what customers should know at this point in terms of what they should be seeing on their bills?
Yeah, so they were credits that were connected to the tax liability that arose from the sale of the Narragansett Electric Company to PPL. So that's when Rhode Island Energy sort of came to be, right? It used to be Narragansett Electric. It was owned by National Grid. When PPL bought the company 3 years ago, there was a tax liability that arose from that was passed on to ratepayers, and it's incremental. Rhode Island Energy worked out a deal to speed up those credits, and we would have seen, $20-something for the first 3 months of 2026 and 2027 on both our electric and
Discounts.
Yeah. On the gas and electric side. There was some disagreement about the amount of money. The Attorney General raised concerns, and the Public Utilities Commission started asking questions about it. Rhode Island Energy ended up dropping it temporarily, but dropping it, all the same. And so we're not going to see those credits.
Okay.
There are going to be other credits, though. So the Public Utilities Commission came up with another plan to give us some credits, just for the first 3 months of 2026. And they used some different mechanisms to do that. The original plan for the credits, Rhode Island Energy has said they will try to bring back. They just need to negotiate the terms of that.
And what was their initial standpoint on why they pulled this plan and what they thought was sort of wrong with it?
I think it really came down to the fact that you're paying out all this money over decades. And so if you were going to speed up the payment over a couple of years, you had to calculate what the net present value of the money was. They came up with one figure, which is, I think, $149 million. Peter Nerona's office said they're lowballing us, that it really should be, I don't know, I think it was about $30-something million higher. That led to some other questions with the Public Utilities Commission, and I don't know what happened behind the scenes,
Sure.
But anyway, they ended up saying, okay, we're actually not going to do this right now.
Yeah.
To the chagrin of a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's funny when you cover energy. There is a lot of drama that goes on in between these big organizations. You have the PUC, which is the regulatory body, Rhode Island Energy, which is essentially a monopoly on the electric infrastructure in the state, and they fight constantly, or they're butting heads constantly. But it comes out in these hundreds and hundreds of page dockets.
Yeah.
That are so hard to understand. And that's when I, look to Alex, like, can you interpret what this means? But bottom line, it sounds like, Alex, that Rhode Island Energy customers were going to get a tax credit or a credit. I keep calling them tax credits. They were going to get
You
a
cover
discount.
those a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
They're going to get a discount from this initial plan. That fell through. Then there is an additional plan that was created. Is it about the same that people should be expecting as a discount on their bills?
Yeah, so it's actually a little bit more because they found some more money to play around with. I'm talking about the Public Utilities Commission. But to be clear, like, it is moving money around. Like, these are not true savings. Like,
So we're still paying for it.
we're going to pay for it in the end. And maybe the thinking is that if you save us, obviously, like, we pay more for energy in the wintertime. That's just generally how it is. You know, with heating, electric costs go up too in the winter, the way rates work. So the idea is if you can save people a little bit in the wintertime, okay, maybe you have to have them pay in the summer, but maybe you can sort of budget better if you sort of shift that money around. But yeah, again, to be clear, these are not true savings. Even that original plan, they weren't true savings. Yeah.
Are there places that people can truly save money? You know, I was reading some of your reporting on like heat pumps and solar energy. Like, are there real meaningful ways that people can adjust what they're paying every month?
Yeah, I mean, so heat pumps are terrific. I converted to a heat pump system in my house. The economics really worked for me, though, because I'm on central air at my house. My air compressors were going, so I had to replace them anyway. It only cost, a few $1,000s more to do heat pumps instead. I was on oil heat, and heating oil is expensive. So for me, like I'm saving money now. My family is saving money with heat pumps. If you're heating with natural gas is cheaper than oil. The economics, and there are studies that show this, the economics aren't there for if you're converting from natural gas yet.
Fascinating.
So if you want to do heat pumps for environmental reasons, that's great. But if you're just looking at the bottom line costs, like we'd need better incentives to make that work.
I want to ask you a question about Rhode Island Energy's rates, because it feels like for a customer there's a bit of whiplash every 6 months, because we go from the 6 months that you pay in the winter, which is typically a lot more. I think as long as I've been here, it's a lot more than what you pay in the 6 months that it's warmer out. And so every time we reach the fall, it is, the same deal where you say, oh, wait, I have to pay how much more for my energy bill? But now National Grid, listen to me, Rhode Island Energy is, there are a lot of rules around how much they can charge and how much money they can actually gather from all of the customers. But they're actually looking to increase the amount that they're able to charge on their very base level.
Right.
That's something that I expect to be very much in the conversation over the next several months. Can you sort of break that down?
Yeah, so the whiplash that you're experiencing, right, those are energy rates or the energy costs, like purely energy costs, right? And you got me doing it now too. Rhode Island Energy does not profit over the energy costs, right? So whatever they're charging us is what they pay the wholesalers. Where they do make the money is on this portion of the bill for distribution costs, and that's what you're talking about now. And that's what's going to be they're trying to raise more money through that. So they change the energy costs like twice a year. Those distribution costs, they change every few years, like 5 years or so. Again, back to that PPL deal, they agreed to hold off on filing this distribution rate case for several years. So now it's actually been 8 years since we changed those distribution costs. And the proposal, like, that's why you're seeing it's quite a large amount. Because they're saying that, through inflation, supply chain costs, all the costs that they pay have gone up, and their revenues haven't matched. So that squeezed their profits.
Got it.
Yeah.
A complicated topic that we need Alex to break it down.
Seriously.
For us. All right, we need to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll take a look at Rhode Island's carbon cutting goals. Stick with us. Welcome back to Behind the Story. I'm your host, Eli Sherman, joined by my co-host, Kim Clunian of 12 News. And our guest this week is Alex Kuffner of the Providence Journal. Alex, we're talking about energy, and one topic that has come up for years is this effort by the state to try and reduce its carbon emissions. And you had a great story recently taking a look specifically at where we are in terms of getting or reaching those goals. There are benchmarks at 2030, there are benchmarks at 2040, and it sounds like we are lagging, but there's optimism that we could still make it. What's your take?
I don't know. It's strange, and I think a lot of people would say this. So the state, we passed the Act on Climate in 2021, and that required we come up with this climate action strategy this year in order to meet that goal. So government is finalizing that strategy now, and so the draft of that report, or at least the executive summary, came out, and it's a little bit dissonant because on the one hand, it's like they say, yeah, we're on track to meet the 2030 goal. On the other hand, they're saying, but all this federal funding that's gone away under the new administration, the Trump administration, is going to make life really difficult. So, and they haven't identified other funding sources. So, yeah, I kind of feel like I don't really know what to say. I just think that it's going to be hard. I do think it's going to be hard to get there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I wanted to just sort of pivot a little bit. It was still under the umbrella of the green goals, but I wanted to revisit something that we were talking about before the break, which is sort of the breakdown of what we pay every month. And I know, Eli, you've done some reporting on this. There's a great chart that you made on our website as well.
Surprise.
Surprise. But part of the cost that we're paying, according to Rhode Island Energy, the reason that our bills are high is because we're paying into these green initiatives in the state. Mm-hmm. Is that accurate? And did anything change in the last year to try and, give some relief on that side of things for Rhode Island ratepayers?
So it is accurate to an extent. You have to keep it in context, right? So those costs, what they call the public policy costs, they range, I saw one bill is 14%, 18%. It's a fraction of your bill, and those costs have gone up. So yeah, that is part of the story. Half your bill goes to energy costs, right? And the energy costs have gone up a lot too. So that's really the bigger story. And then a third of your bill goes to what we pay. So these distribution costs, right? And that's, Rhode Island Energy has more control over that. There are, so to get back to the green energy stuff, yeah, there are costs associated with that, but there are also savings associated too that you don't necessarily see on your bill. So we pay for energy efficiency programs and energy efficiency, like insulating your house, right? Yeah. We can all apply for those grants or for the funding to do that sort of stuff. It's paid by all of us too. But if you do that, overall, it tamps down energy usage, and it could also tamp down distribution costs, and even, ideally, sort of the cost of energy. So we could see savings in other ways. We pay for long-term contracts for renewable energy. That includes like the offshore wind farms, right? So Revolution Wind, it's projected to save money in the long term for us, but we just don't see it on our bills right now. It's hard to measure those things, but yeah, it is a cost for sure.
To Kim's point, and you and I have talked about this, Alex, off air, but it seems like, to me, covering energy when I do, which I don't as often as you do, but when I do, that the sort of stance or the public affairs position of Rhode Island Energy is to really sort of stress this green energy cost that is associated with customers' bills in a way that we didn't really see with National Grid, their predecessor. Yeah. And I'm wondering, is that sort of, what do you make of that at least public position of, hey, don't really blame us for our distribution costs and the cost of energy. Yeah. It's actually these green energy initiatives that the state and the regulators are mandating that you pay. Yeah. Do you agree that there has been sort of a more vocal position from the utility to point out those costs?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So in the past couple of years, that's definitely the case. I think it came in response to they were the focus of a lot of criticism last winter when costs spiked. We had a cold snap. That combined with the high cost of energy, bills went through the roof for a lot of people. I think Rhode Island Energy, their response was, okay, let's talk about some of these green energy programs. And again, they're not lying. It's not, and I don't even know that it's a distortion of the truth. It is a real cost. It's just, climate programs are going to cost money. It's just a question of what you believe and if you think we need to be reducing these emissions and doing our part to do that, and if it's worth it. I can't say they're being inaccurate. At the same time, though, keep in mind with this distribution rate case, they are seeking not only do they want to sort of meet the current cap on their profits, they actually want to increase that cap. So right now they're earning their return on equity is 9.275%. They want to raise that to 10.75%. They probably won't get that. The PUC, they never give them what they want. But still, they are looking to raise their profits. And I don't know, in the last General Assembly session, this was a topic of conversation where legislators actually, there was one legislator in particular who wanted to cut their profits to something like 4%. So.
I want to ask you something real quickly, and we only have about a minute left,
Sure.
and we could talk about it for so long, so I apologize. But one of the things that, energy generator companies, the industry of energy generation often say is that it's not us that are the pollutants, it's the cars on the road. And one of the things that we've seen under the Trump administration is either the disappearance or the disappearing of tax incentives and credits for electric vehicles. Is that something that people should just expect will come and go with who is in charge in DC?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, you answered that really
Under a minute, so there you go.
Yeah.
And how right is the industry on terms of the cars on the roads being the pollutants, not them?
Well, that's a very large topic. And I guess I would just say that, yes, tailpipe pollution is a big issue. It accounts for, more than a third of the emissions in the state. That's a climate issue. It's also a clean air issue. And there is a reason why, South Providence has some of the highest asthma rates in the nation. You would see, public health impacts, not just climate impacts, if we switched over to, cleaner cars. How we do that, we need to bring those costs down.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's all the time we have with you this week, Alex. And for folks who want to cover these issues or read about these issues, really recommend you go read Alex's stuff. He truly is great on these topics. Alex, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. It's fun.
All right. When we come back, the stories we wish we wrote. Stick with us. Welcome back to Behind the Story. I'm your host, Eli Sherman, joined by Kim Kalunian of 12 News. Kim, entering into the final segment of our show, the stories we wish we wrote. And I'm actually going to go first this week.
Great.
Because I have two stories that I think you'd really like, that I know you'll really like. And they're just perfect. The first is by Liz Jennifer Martinez of the Valley Breeze. It's called After Going Viral, Auntie's House in Pawtucket Adapts to High Demand. Ooh. And this is about a new restaurant, Auntie's House in Pawtucket, that went viral after a Connecticut sort of social media guy came and it blew up. And so all these people are rushing to get in there. It's a restaurant from like a Ghana themed restaurant, and it's got a lot of bowls. I actually ate there.
You did?
Not knowing that it was this now very famous place to go eat, and it was delicious.
Wow. Okay, so I have to find this influencer's post and do some more research, because I don't think I've ever had food from Ghana. I follow a lot of food influencers on Instagram, so I see a lot of different cultures' food, so I think I know what I would be getting into, but I'm excited. What was it like?
But you like a bowl, like a bowl of just a bunch of
Just a
different
bowl
stuff
of
in it?
food. Yeah, let's do it.
Exactly. That seems in your wheelhouse.
Sounds great.
What do you have this week?
Okay, so I chose something. I know I tend to pick like lighter animal stories, but this week I went with a little bit of hard news because I have to shout out Kathy Gregg over at the Providence Journal. Of course, we all covered that marathon oversight hearing about the Washington Bridge. She honed in on a question that the DOT director, Peter Alviti, was like, I don't really know the answer to that right now. And she was like, let me find that answer. So the headline is companies being sued over the Washington Bridge are inspecting these Rhode Island bridges. So basically, the director was asked, are any of the companies that are being sued for the failure of the westbound side still, inspecting bridges? And the DOT director said, I'm not aware or unaware of them. But in fact, they are. And it continues despite the fact that they're battling it out in court.
Yeah, I think one of the most illuminating things about covering the Washington Bridge has been how sort of intertwined all of these companies are
Yes.
with the state of Rhode Island specifically, because they all hire each other to do certain parts of different projects, and that's for a lot of the infrastructure that exists across the state.
Yes.
So here, even I think, when they first launched the lawsuit, one of the companies that had worked on the bridge originally and was still working on it was doing the demolition. So,
Right. It seems pretty commonplace for like a legal issue to be playing out in court while they're still doing a contract for the state at the same time.
And and Kathy did a good job, because you feel like if you have such an issue with these companies, you should be on top of maybe what other work they're doing
Right.
in the state.
Yes.
Kathy, as always, doing a terrific job.
We love you, Kathy.
All right. This one's so good. This is a holiday ritual of fellowship and flour. This is two volunteers who led the effort to bake 7,000 cookies.
That's a lot of cookies.
Exactly, at the Baptist Church in Warren.
Wow.
And this is for the Cookie Walk fundraiser. And this is the East Bay RI, Ellen Lahr. Just a really delightful story, very apropos of the time of year.
I love it.
If you're not eating cookies in December, then what are you doing?
Can you imagine how wonderful it smelled while they were baking 7,000 cookies?
A good reason to go to church.
Absolutely. If you're not already going, go for the cookies, right?
All right. Well, that is all of the time that we have this week. I want to thank everybody dearly for tuning in, and to Alex Kuffner of the Providence Journal for joining us. We have a couple special weeks coming up here now. Next week, actually, Kim and Dan will be off, and so I'll be joined by Ted Nisi and Tim White to talk about politics in Rhode Island. And then Kim, Dan, and I are going to wrap up the year with a special episode talking about the biggest stories that happened in Rhode Island over the past year, which actually took quite some preparation.
Yeah, absolutely. It was
look
a
back
busy
at a year that has been full of stories. But that's all the time we have for now. For Kim Kalunian, I'm Eli Sherman. Thank you very much for watching Behind the Story.